When I say bootstrapping, I do not mean tying your shoes, by the way. We're gonna try and keep it consistent with a topic this week. So the topic that I'm gonna choose is, and that we're gonna be talking about, is bootstrapping. How to start a business with little money. And both Perception Engineering and Clarity Manufacturing have been bootstrapped. Minimal investment, and just kind of no need to be fancy. So here's the desk that I started on for PE. Actually, that's the chair. This desk was actually upstairs in the spare bedroom of our house. After getting a couple of good jobs through Perception Engineering, I moved everything down into, this is the basement of actually my house where I worked nights and weekends. You can see the 3D prints along the wall. There's a lot of 3D printing that was done in this room. Now I use it for still when I work from home, but as you can see, the 3D printers aren't here anymore. That's all moved to our office out in Allendale. With Perception Engineering, there was no need to go out and get staff right away, or to go out and get a building, so I spent a lot of time down here. Actually had employees coming when we started doing contract work after about a year. Started bringing some employees in, and they actually came in and started working from the basement of our house. Come in at all hours of the night and early morning in order to get the work done before I went off and did my day job. Here's the first desktop that we started with at Perception Engineering. Actually, we only had that little LG monitor there. This is a little HP Envy with it's got an i7, but I think it's got a GTX 960 or something in it, graphics card. Just enough to get a SolidWorks running in order to do some design work for customers, and we just took on jobs that this machine could handle. 3D printer that we started out with, a Wellsbot Taz 5, plenty big build volume. You guys are watching this and understand FDM 3D printing technology, then you understand some of the struggles that we faced starting out 3D printing for customers with this printer. But great printer. Now, as you can see, it is, still use it. It's more or less a display piece. We're at such a point in Perception Engineering that we're taking on projects where you have to utilize the top of the line software, and you have to utilize the best equipment that the industry has to offer. And that is that's where we've taken Perception Engineering, and now we have the cash flow to be able to make those investments and get the top trained people on these jobs for our customers, because we're taking on those next level jobs that we would not have touched 3 years ago. Even though bootstrapping sounds like a great idea, okay, yeah, I'm gonna start my business with little outside resources or capital. I'm gonna start moonlighting on the side and set up my financial plan personally so that I have 6-8 months of cash just in case I can't pull anything from the business, which, you know, 6 to 8 months I would argue is not enough. You need a couple of years, depending on how fast you want to grow the company and how much you want to invest back into the company, until you get to a point where you can, depending on the business, obviously get to a point where you can start drawing from the company. But so in bootstrapping, you're utilizing your own existing funds that you've set up, or cash flow scenarios that you've set up in order to build your business. One thing that benefits and that helps you out with is that you, with not going after outside, VCs or angel investors, you have full control over more of your cash flow and the full control over your business. Able to make decisions a little bit quicker and easier. That is a huge benefit. A big downfall of bootstrapping is it takes so much longer to grow. I mean, you don't have that $1 million that you're able to play with and hire people. Like I said, there's pros and cons. It depends on the type of business that you're in, but I've noticed as I'm growing these different businesses, both Perception Engineering and Clarity Manufacturing are currently being bootstrapped. It has been a struggle, but it also has set us up in a scenario where if we can do it with minimum resources and investment, if down the road, if we want to go to a different scenario where we want to get a capital investment on different equipment or bring more people here on at Perception Engineering, and that's going to require some different resources, outside resources, that we can do that because now we understand a little bit more of what it's worth. So one is to not have enough one mistake or issue is to not have enough set aside personally, so that if the business doesn't grow and you can't draw from the business, that you're not going to have to say, okay, I have to call it quits right away and move to something different, or that you haven't set up and started moonlighting so that you can still use your full-time job to pay the bills and supplement into the business instead of out of the business you're trying to start. The second one that I would say is a mistake is having maybe even too much invested into the company. And when you're bootstrapping, you say, okay, you may be fortunate and be able to invest a lot into getting a business started up, but that's one thing that was in my case in starting Perception Engineering, and I've kind of benefited from that because it keeps you hungry. It pushes you into scenarios where you wouldn't typically put yourself into researching ways of lower cost marketing, into ways of actually doing some more cold calls where you probably would have spent a little bit more on the marketing side and hiring someone out to do different scenarios. Doing a lot of the work yourself and learning the exact processes. For example, accounting is a big area where you can spend a lot of money, or you can sit down and try and figure it out yourself, and it kind of pushes you to a different mindset to actually being able to learn and do that stuff on your own, rather than just saying, hey, we'll pay someone to do that for now because I don't know how to do it. Maybe that's the next step, that once you get to the next scale where it's taking so much time that your time is more valuable somewhere else, that you can actually hire someone else to take over that small part of the business. And then at that point you have a good understanding, so you're able to know how much it actually is worth for them to charge, and then for you to say, okay, yeah, that justifies me not having to spend the time to get it done. The third is something that I've struggled with, setting yourself up so that your business, that you can actually get to a point where you can compensate yourself for your work. And that is the main reason for needing to do that is if you have built a company around not paying yourself, and then you end up getting to a scenario where the business is slow, you can't take away your salary, it's already gone. So you can't say, okay, I'm gonna pay the other people before I pay. You're not paying yourself anyway, so you've built the company on not paying yourself. And then also you aren't able to, this is not sustainable. So you have to get to a point where you're, as quickly as possible, where you can pay yourself, so that you can live comfortably and do a reasonable salary for the work that you're actually getting done. Like, I guess pros and cons of bootstrapping. One pro is that you're your own boss. I mean, you don't have to report to an angel investor or a VC for anything. Another pro would be that you're actually creating, as you're going through this process, you're creating a story, and always be honest with customers as to kind of where you're at with your business. I feel like when you go out and you spend a huge investment, depending on the business that you're starting, it might give a false representation of exactly where you're at as a business. Where we can bring people into Perception Engineering, show them exactly what we're doing, that we're excited about it, and that we're growing it from nothing. And actually that has, as much as you think that might be something that, I don't want to show people that currently we have, 3 people on staff, shortly going to be 4 people on staff at Perception Engineering. We don't want to tell people that. We don't want to show people why, because they're going to now know more of what your capacity is. I mean, you're telling them that you can get this certain amount of work done for them. They have complete understanding, and we found that is actually a selling point because they want to help you grow and help you get to the next level. Everyone that we've come into contact with has been super supportive and wanting to work together and grow together. And if Perception Engineering, if their company does well and we do great work for them, Perception Engineering is just going to keep growing along with them. Same with Clarity Manufacturing. Getting started out with that company and just being honest with everyone is kind of where we're at. And here's the type of resources that we have. Here's the type of parts that we can supply, great quality parts. We have a team that's super knowledgeable and very excited about the work that they're doing. And we can bring that to the table to hit certain types of jobs. We're not going to take on jobs that we're not going to be able to supply that type of quality for, or not even that type of quality, but that type of lead time. We can get pretty much anything done. It's just how long is it going to take, and is it going to be cost effective for that customer based on the process that we currently have in place. A couple of the downsides to bootstrapping. One of them that I think of is you're going to work insanely long hours, maybe more than you would if you wouldn't be bootstrapping, and then there's going to be limited pay or salary. I mean, you're not going to be able to, if you work 18 hours a day for 2 years straight. I mean, if you think back to what you were making at your day job before you quit, your hourly rates don't even align with that starting out. Hopefully someday they will, but starting out, when you're bootstrapping, you're taking a lot of that cash that you would probably pay into yourself or into others, and you're putting it back into the business for new equipment to and get more employees, whatever you need to do there. The second, I guess the third would be that there's slower growth. So it takes a little bit longer, but I feel like it's very beneficial because you learn a lot in the process. I see bootstrapping as more of a mindset and the idea of how you approach business. So there's one thing that I've learned especially is you need to take a close look at that cash flow. So how do things work? And how are your the different jobs that you're sending out, when are you getting paid, and when do you need to pay your employees? And a lot of that stuff, when you're starting out with next to nothing, you pay very, very, very close attention to that, and you negotiate the best that you can on all your terms in order to make sure that you get paid as quickly as possible, but you have to pay your suppliers as late as possible, I guess is the best way of putting it. You need to connect people that want your service more than they want their money. And you also then need to connect suppliers that want your business more than they want to get paid, it's a interesting concept once you start digging into it, and that's really how you generate cash flow, and you figure that out. I mean, if you have your customers paying you before you have to pay your suppliers, that is really where you get your cash flow to work out. And if you just keep doing that over and over, you've figured out the formula, and now it's just math and scaling and doing that over and over and over from there. I know Seth Godin gave a good example when he's talking about Tough Mudder and how they built up a brand in such a way that you actually pay to go to this event months in advance. So that they know how many people are going to attend. They have the cash in hand, and then they go and it's very easy for them to go out and rent out a field somewhere in order to host this event, because they already have the cash in hand. They don't have to put anything else up front and then hope that they get paid later. So when you're looking at a business transaction, obviously the ideal way is to make that happen. Then you just do it over and over and over and over and over. And even if you have minimum resources, starting out, I consider that kind of a bootstrapping mindset of how to approach business.